And I think what's happened so far is by being an outspoken person in costume who gets a lot of notice, it has only spurred people on to better. And there's a lot of young drag queens who have been coming up to me talking about their social purpose instead of their glamour, and who Marcy Playground, who inspires me to take public transportation everywhere I go in drag, because if she's not afraid, then I'm not afraid. Or, you know, all these people who have nothing to lose, who go out there and do drag and take the ridicule and are who they are. I mean, there's a lot of power in casting off shame. I wish the gay community could cast off more shame, and I think that drag has been one of the ways that I've learned to be bigger than my shame.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's an unbelievable part of the development of our 20th and 21st century society that drag queens have been the courageous crusaders, along with the other displaced elements of our communities, the underserved, the people who don't have the opportunities, that to make the big change, to make the force change on the rest of us. And I'm so grateful for that. I am one of those people scared to death of what drag meant when I first started getting into it. And as I was homophobic, and probably still have traces of that. But so I can understand where it comes from. But why would you hang on to something that is so irrelevant nowadays? So I am grateful to the drag community, especially for their courage and for their commitment and compassion.
Well, and the courage that you have, because it isn't easy to come up and meet things that you have fear of face to face. For example, my parents are never going to accept me. Their Christianity is more important to them than having their son in their life. And that's a choice that they make. Mm-hmm. And they're not able, my mother particularly, has never been able to overcome her fear, to face her fear, to make herself a more liberated, stronger person. So for you to say that you've seen your fear and now you've come up against it, I think that's an amazing thing. That's running for district supervisor. The next day, I thought, can I swear on your show? I mean, I was like, what have I done? I've really jumped off a bridge now, but several of my friends have decided to jump off the bridge with me, and we're going to face fear together. And, you're a part of that. You're facing your fear, we're facing our fear, and without fear and shame, it's just going to be a much better world.
I couldn't agree more.
Definitely.
And it does seem like it is, one little inch at a time, not even an inch sometimes. But back to the performer, as a politician, as a person serving a tough constituency, how will you survive? I mean, it's not a lot of money to do. Well, I guess it's a pretty decent salary, isn't it? I don't even remember.
I haven't actually looked at the salary because that's obviously not why I'm doing it.
Exactly.
Nor am I doing it to posture myself to go on from here to, I'm doing this because somewhere along the line I said, I'm going to make a change, and this is how I'm going to try and do it, and this is how I'm getting my voice out there. The performer, I'm sure there's going to be lots of benefits for Anna to be hitting up, because I have to raise quite a bit of money to even be considered
Absolutely.
A viable candidate.
Yeah.
But, performing is a way of finding a voice and expressing yourself. Dressing up is a way of finding a personality and expressing themselves. When I was very young, I think it was nursery school, I was going to a nursery school, and we used to have dress-up time. And I would dress up as a woman, and the little boys would make fun of me. And the only person to stand up for me until I had actual friends in high school was a nursery school teacher who said, a lot of very famous people who do this for the stage, and a lot of very wonderful people open up their minds in ways that you'll never know. And I know that was probably not a direct quote, because I doubt she was expanding on the existential of drag, but I'll always remember taking that with me from nursery school. and drag is a way to find a voice. Everyone has their way. And drag has been an amazing vehicle for me.
I'm so inspired by it. This community, San Francisco, I think has some of the most vibrant drag people, queens, whatever you want, kings, I've ever seen, and I've been exploring it so much since I started the show, and this to me is the vanguard.
Yeah, I learned my trade in New York at Boy Bar and the Pyramid, and Matthew Caston. I remember one time I came in red hair and a red dress and red makeup, and they said, "What are you, Windburn?" And I,
Great line.
I learned my trade. There is definitely a learning curve, but New York in the 90s, right before RuPaul actually exploded onto the scene, was a fantastic time for drag in New York. And people like the International Crisis and the Connie Girl and RuPaul were actually huge models in fashion and Paris, and they were in George Michael's videos, and they were walking the walk and talking the talk and setting up a standard of other beauty.
I see that, and I see that Heklina and others were very much influenced by New York.
Absolutely.
And we can go back further to Stonewall. It was the drag queens that gave us that first
Sylvia
real
Ray
fight.
Rivera.
Absolutely.
Long live Sylvia.
Yeah, but we had even before that in San Francisco,
the
Empress.
Empress Norton.
The Empress Norton, who founded a lot of different things and was the first person to ever run for elective office as an open homosexual.
Yes.
Amazing. And it was only like 45 or 50 years ago. So we've come a long way.
We've come a long way, but I would also...
But not far enough.
Yeah, and I would like to caution, a lot of people are always saying to me, don't worry, gays will get their rights. But I think it's very important that we remember at this time, across the states, fascism and bigotry is being voted into law.
You're absolutely
right. And that cannot stand.
We're being marginalized,
yes,
all of us.
Yeah, and on the Polk Street, Charlie Horse is just another victim, and the Cinch hopefully will not be the last gay bar on Polk Street, as the Polk Street administration, under Steve Chu's direction, has continued to ban gay businesses from getting a place to rent. Like the Deco had to leave Polk Street because they couldn't find anywhere to rent because they were being blackballed by the Merchants Association. This is the same street that was the original